I know all mindfulness practice helps with anxiety, but is there anything specific, kind of an emergency type of quick thing I can tell her to do?
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that about your friend. I think a lot more people are feeling that these days. Um, you know, some so so you're right. Most practices can be very helpful for anxiety, and um, just as a quick way to refer them to something is there's what's called like a 3-minute breathing space meditation.
Right.
And also, more mindfulness teachers are sharing what they're calling like SOS meditations. If you're feeling acute anxiety or if you're feeling really out of sorts, sometimes just like a simple 3-minute practice can be helpful. And so often they're called breathing space or SOS practices. Um, I think that um, connecting with the breath, especially around the belly or diaphragm, and really like allowing the breath or allowing the belly to soften and breathing with the belly and the diaphragm. And just kind of connecting with the inhale and the exhale, the rise and fall of the belly. Um, in a sort of soft, relaxed way, can be really helpful. When we started that practice, and I often call it like a 7 directions meditation. Um, Try to emphasize breathing with the belly or the diaphragm. If we're struggling with anxiety, we might be breathing with our chest or up top, um, and that might not be so helpful for our parasympathetic nervous system. So I think breathing with the belly, grounding in the body. Sometimes I'll encourage people who are struggling with anxiety to sense in the bottoms of their feet, sense in the like groundedness of the body. Um, and it depends on if I have time to talk to them or not. I might ask them like, what's the flavor of anxiety? Like what's going on? And depending on what's going on, we might do some work with gratitude or um, softening the body or um, compassion. It kind of depends on what's going on for them. I might just kind of segue into some coaching, um, but for me, basically the go-tos are grounding in the body and connecting with the breath at the belly, in a very gentle, tender way, just kind of softening into it.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
And also like sometimes just speaking with a sense of care can make a world of difference to someone. Just if someone's struggling with anxiety, just a caring voice, or just like looking at them in the eyes,
Mhm.
not like staring them down, but just taking them in, looking at them with a sense of care. And people can usually read that in the eyes or That sense of connection, that caring connection, can be a game changer.
Great. Thank you so much. That was wonderful.
Yeah, Gina has another response of, yeah, just noticing 5 things that I can sense. Maybe 1 thing I can hear, 5 things I can see, 3 things I can feel, that type of thing, to help us to reset our attention can also be helpful. And then, you know, sometimes if I feel anxiety, and yes, I do feel anxiety because I'm human. Uh, Someone this morning asked me if I ever get out of sorts. Yes, I do. Um, um, Sometimes I'll go through 3 things. I'll sense into my physiology, language, and focus. This is kind of more of a Tony Robbins thing, but uh, he talks about meaning um, equaling uh, physiology, focus, and language. And so if I'm anxious about something, I'll say, okay, well, what is my physiology like right now? And how can I maybe be with it or change it? What kind of language am I using internally or externally? What are the actual words that are going through my head? And then what am I focusing on? And usually, if I shift 1 or 2 or all 3 of those things, the meaning of the situation will change, and therefore the anxiety as well. So that's not exactly a mindfulness practice per se. I mean, it is, but it's not something that you'll hear that often in mindfulness circles. But for me, I find it very helpful for um, being aware of um, maybe what's maybe closer to the root of anxiety, and then how I can transform it.